Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're gonna be taking a look at Saturn,
Ooh,
but not Saturn as you know it.
not the Saturn you learned about in school.
This is going to be Saturn as like those really out there ideas.
Yeah, the esoteric Saturn.
The esoteric
For
Saturn.
going deep.
So get ready to have your mind blown.
Absolutely. So we're going to be looking at some really ancient ideas about Saturn and how they might challenge what we think we know.
Like I'm already like, what? When you said Saturn as a sun, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they think of Saturn, they think of, kind of a dark planet.
Yeah.
The Grim Reaper planet,
Limitations, right?
Limitations. Yes, exactly.
Time, father time.
Yeah. So how do we get from that to a sun?
Well, and that's what's so interesting. You have, on one hand, all these associations with darkness and limitations, but then you also have these ideas about Saturn being connected to a golden age.
Okay. Yeah.
A time of abundance and peace and like this kind of idyllic era. Right. And like agriculture.
Yes, exactly. Agriculture and all these positive things. So how do we reconcile those two seemingly contradictory ideas? Well, if you look at ancient texts, you find references to Saturn as the best sun, the primeval sun,
I've seen that.
the great central sun.
The central sun, yeah.
It's as if they're talking about a completely different object in the sky than what we see today.
Right.
And this is where things start to get really interesting, because you have to imagine, like, back in the 19th century when they're translating these texts, these linguists, they're looking at these references to Saturn as a sun.
And they're like, nah.
Yeah, they're thinking there's no way, right? So they kind of make these corrections, assuming that the ancients were just mistaken. And so they swap out the name Saturn and replace it with the sun we know.
Right.
But in doing so, they might have completely distorted the original meaning.
Yeah, because we could be reading all of this ancient, sun worship.
Exactly.
And it might actually be Saturn worship.
Right. And the implications of that are huge, right?
It's huge.
And the thing that blows my mind is it's not just one culture talking about this.
Yes, this is a global phenomenon.
It's global.
You have cultures all over the world.
Separated by huge distances.
Right, exactly. Separated by vast oceans.
Yeah.
Talking about a superior sun.
Okay, so like for instance, the Incas, they had this temple dedicated to what they called the authentic sun.
Interesting.
Right. And they said it was superior because it could light the entire world from one spot.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Right. And get this. The entrance to the temple was on the north side.
The north side. That's a really significant detail because it ties into a theory proposed by David Talbot in his book, The Saturn Myth.
Okay.
And he suggests that Saturn was once in a fixed position above the Earth's north pole.
Whoa, wait a minute. So you're saying Saturn wasn't like way out there. It was actually closer to Earth, just fixed in the sky. Yes, and this would explain why so many cultures have these myths about a central immovable light source in the north, often associated with Saturn.
Okay, but how is that even possible? Wouldn't our understanding of like physics, the way the solar system works?
Right, it does seem to challenge our conventional understanding of the cosmos.
Yeah.
But Talbot points to ancient texts that literally describe Saturn on Earth.
Oh, wow.
Like, for instance, Ovid talks about old Saturn falling to the dark country.
Wow, that's pretty explicit.
Yeah. It's that Dionysius of Halicarnassus who stated that Kronos ruled on this very Earth.
Wow.
And even an Orphic fragment that mentions Saturn dwelling openly on Earth and among men.
So we have multiple sources saying that like Saturn was perceived as being much closer than it is now.
Much closer, yes. Yeah. And then you look at the Sumerian tablets, which actually describe Saturn as a stationary light source, radiating light down on Earth. So imagine that, a massive glowing Saturn dominating the sky. And then you have the ancient Chinese astronomers who referred to the celestial pole as the pivot, and they called Saturn the genie of the pivot, again suggesting that it was seen as this central point around which everything revolved.
This is mind-blowing. Yeah. It's like a whole different reality.
It is.
But if Saturn was once this close and then it fell, what happened?
That's where we have to start looking at the myths about Saturn's fall.
Okay.
To understand what might have transpired.
So we're talking like a cosmic upheaval.
Yes. Potentially a massive event that changed the entire structure of the solar system.
Whoa.
Something that ancient cultures witnessed and recorded in their myths and symbols.
This is incredible. I can't wait to dive deeper.
Me too. There's so much more to uncover. So when you look at the myths about Saturn's fall, there's a lot of imagery of like struggle,
Yeah, battles. Oh, right. Like the war in heaven.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A war in heaven. And it makes you wonder if these are, symbolic of some kind of cosmic event.
Yeah. Could there have been like an actual conflict between Saturn and something else? I mean,
well, and this is where you have theories like Sitchin's and Nibiru theory.
Right.
Which
is a whole other can of worms.
But it's interesting that there are these parallels, right?
Yeah.
You have this idea of a rogue planet entering the solar system and causing chaos.
Right.
And it kind of mirrors these myths about Saturn's fall.
Yeah, like a disruptive force coming in.
Exactly.
Messing everything up.
Yeah, disrupting the balance. And maybe Nibiru, whether or not it literally existed, maybe it's symbolic of something else.
Right.
Whatever that force was that caused Saturn to fall.
Okay, so we're talking like a massive event here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like what could possibly cause something like that?
Well, if we consider the idea that Saturn might have been a brown dwarf.
Okay.
Or some other type of object capable of emitting light. Maybe its fall involves some kind of massive release of energy.
Yeah, like a supernova or something.
Yeah, potentially something like that.
That would be crazy.
It would send shockwaves throughout the entire solar system.
It would explain why the planets are the way they are.
And you know why there are asteroid belts?
Yeah.
Why the Earth has seasons?
Oh, wow.
Why its axis is tilted?
Yeah, like some massive event happened.
Exactly. And this is what a lot of ancient myths talk about, right?
Yeah.
They describe these floods.
Catastrophes,
coinciding with this upheaval in the heavens.
It's like a reset button.
Exactly. Like the world was completely transformed.
Wow.
And this brings us back to that idea of a golden age. Right? Before Saturn's fall.
This time of peace and abundance.
Yes. This time when humanity was connected to something higher.
Yeah.
A realm of pure consciousness.
Okay.
And spiritual light. And so Saturn's fall kind of symbolizes a descent into a more material reality.
Like a denser reality.
Yes. A denser reality filled with duality. Where we experience separation, limitation.
And like the physical world.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like we went from this
unified state to a separated state.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
It's a really profound idea.
That makes me think of in a lot of spiritual traditions, they talk about this fall from grace.
Yeah.
Right.
And how that, led to the state of the world we're in now.
Right. And this idea of separation from the divine.
Exactly.
So it's like, whoa. So if that's true, what does that mean for us?
Right.
Like, how does that affect our understanding of ourselves?
Right.
Our place in the universe?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, if we accept this idea of a Saturnian past, a time when Saturn was completely different and influencing human consciousness in ways we can barely even imagine.
Yeah.
It challenges everything we think we know about history, spirituality, reality itself.
It's like we're living in the aftermath.
Exactly.
Of some cosmic drama that we don't even remember.
We've forgotten.
Yeah.
And yet it's still shaping our lives.
Like a hidden script.
Yeah, it's a hidden script.
That we're all following.
It's running in the background.
Yeah.
And it's affecting everything.
Wow. So it's both humbling and kind of empowering in a way.
It is, right.
It's like, oh man, there's this whole story that we're a part of that we don't even know.
And yet it's there.
Yeah.
It's in our DNA. It's in our collective unconscious.
But we also have the power to rediscover it.
Exactly.
To unlock this ancient wisdom.
To potentially rewrite the script.
Yeah.
Or at least become conscious of it.
Yeah. And that kind of brings us back to this idea of Saturn as the root chakra.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because Saturn, as the root chakra, represents, the foundation.
Full connection to the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Our connection to the earth.
Those primal instincts.
Yes, those primal instincts are survival mechanisms.
Right.
And it's associated with limitations, boundaries.
Right, the physical world.
Exactly. But it's also, the starting point for spiritual growth.
Oh, interesting.
So Saturn's not just about darkness and limitation.
It's also a pathway.
Yes.
To something higher.
To transformation, to enlightenment.
Wow, that's a powerful thought.
It is, right? It's like that alchemical idea of transmuting lead into gold.
Oh, right.
Saturn associated with lead represents that base nature. Our primal instincts, our connection to the material world.
Yeah.
But through a process of transformation, we can refine that lead.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Turn it into gold, achieve spiritual illumination.
That's a really hopeful message.
It is. It's a message of hope that even in the midst of, all the challenges.
Darkness,
Darkness, the limitations. There's always this potential for growth.
Right.
For transformation.
For becoming something more.
Exactly. And this brings us to another really fascinating aspect of this exploration, which is the possibility of accessing this ancient knowledge and ancestral memories through altered states of consciousness.
Oh, okay. So we're talking like DMT psychedelic.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because these experiences that people have on DMT, they often report encountering, entities, beings of light, ancestral figures.
Right. But how does that relate to Saturn and all this?
Well, it's speculative, but the fact that these experiences are so similar across cultures suggests that maybe there's a connection to some kind of shared ancestral memory.
Oh, like a collective unconscious.
Exactly.
That remembers a time when things were different.
When reality was different.
Yeah.
And so these entities that people encounter would be,
like echoes.
Echoes, yeah.
Of that time.
Of that time when Saturn dominated the sky.
Wow. So like these DMT entities could be like
potentially
ancestral memories?
Ancestral memories, yes.
Of a Saturnian past?
Exactly. And it's interesting because if you look at, for example, the Amazonian tradition of ayahuasca, which also contains DMT, they have this origin story about a daughter of the sun arriving on a boat after some catastrophic event, bringing the recipe for ayahuasca.
Wow.
So you wonder, could that daughter of the sun be a reference to a being from a time when Saturn was the sun?
Right.
And could that catastrophe be the fall of Saturn?
Oh, wow. It's a
fascinating connection.
Fascinating connection.
It's like these pieces of a cosmic puzzle starting to fit together.
Okay, but if these DMT entities are like ancestral memories, what are they trying to tell us?
Right.
Do they have a message?
Well, the Amazonian tradition emphasizes the importance of connecting with ancestors through ayahuasca, suggesting that there's this link between these altered states and ancient knowledge. And then you have, Gnostic texts, which talk about this fall from a higher realm of pure spirit
into the material world.
Right. Echoes this idea of Saturn's descent. So maybe these ancient myths, these mystical experiences are trying to convey something really profound about the nature of consciousness, the evolution of humanity. And, I think that's what's so exciting about this exploration is that it really pushes us to expand our awareness.
It's like challenging all of our
assumptions
about reality.
And to consider possibilities that might seem
far out.
But
when you start to connect the dots, it's like, oh, there might be something here.
There might be something to this.
Yeah, but I still have this question about Saturn being a sun.
Right.
How could a planet, especially gas giant like Saturn, emit light like a star?
Well, that's where I think our current scientific understanding might be limited. Because we tend to view stars and planets as
completely separate.
As very distinct. But what if there are objects that blur those lines? What if Saturn, in its primordial state, possessed qualities that we no longer associate with planets?
So are you saying Saturn might have once been a star?
Well, maybe not a star in the conventional sense, but perhaps something like a brown dwarf, which are these objects that are larger than planets but smaller than stars. And they emit some light and heat.
So maybe it wasn't a sun like our sun? But it was still a significant
source of light.
Yes. Wow. And then its fall could have been this like transformation. Where it lost that ability.
Lost that energy.
Wow.
And became the gas giant we see today.
But if Saturn's influence was so profound, why don't we have more evidence?
That's a great question. And, you have to imagine that so much knowledge could have been lost. During those catastrophic events.
The floods.
The earthquakes, the ice ages. These could have wiped out entire civilizations.
And all their knowledge.
And all their knowledge.
So we're just left with these little fragments.
Fragments, yeah.
These whispers of a forgotten past.
Whispers, exactly. And yet those whispers can be so revealing.
Okay.
Think about the Dogon tribe in Africa.
Right.
They have this detailed knowledge
about Saturn's rings.
About Saturn's ring.
And moons.
And moons.
That predates modern astronomy.
Centuries before we knew about them.
Yeah.
How did they know that?
Right.
Without telescopes?
Yeah, it's a total mystery.
It is.
So it makes you wonder, what else is out there?
What other secrets?
What other secrets are we missing?
Are waiting to be rediscovered.
Yeah. And speaking of secrets, what about those ancient symbols?
Ah, the symbols.
Yeah.
They're like these keys that unlock hidden meanings.
Okay.
Like, for instance, the bull. It's this recurring symbol in ancient cultures.
The celestial bull.
Yes. Often depicted as holding up the sky.
Right.
Could that be a representation of Saturn?
Oh, with its rings?
With its rings, yeah.
Like the horn.
Like horns of a bull.
Okay.
And then you have those references to Saturn as a wheel in the sky.
Right.
Maybe they were describing the visual effect of Saturn's rings.
Oh, yeah.
As seen from Earth.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then there's the black cube.
Right.
This really enigmatic symbol that's found across cultures.
Yeah.
And some traditions link it to Saturn, suggesting this connection to limitations, to a bounded reality.
So maybe the black cube represents...
Potentially, yeah.
Like the material world.
The material world.
That we're in now.
And limitations.
After Saturn's fall.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And this ties back into Saturn as the root chakra.
Right.
The foundation of our physical existence.
Yeah, our primal instincts.
Our primal instincts, our connection to this dense material reality.
So it's a reminder of like where we came from.
Where we came from.
This whole journey.
And the challenges we face as humans.
Yeah.
It's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It is.
It really is. But I think it's important.
I agree.
To explore these ideas.
Because they really challenge us to think differently about ourselves.
Yeah.
About the universe.
And about reality itself.
Exactly. And I think that's what's so important about, studying these ancient myths.
The symbolism.
The symbol.
Yeah. The wisdom that's been passed down.
Yeah. It opens up.
It opens up new perspectives.
Yeah.
It challenges our assumptions.
It's like a whole new way.
A whole new way of seeing.
Of seeing the world.
The world and ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what's so exciting about it.
Absolutely. So this is...
So much more we could talk about.
Yeah. This deep dive into Saturn.
Into the mysteries of Saturn.
Has been truly mind expanding.
Yeah.
And I hope it's inspired our listeners to keep exploring.
To keep questioning.
To keep questioning.
And to keep your minds open.
To all the possibilities.
To all the possibilities, yeah.
Yeah, because there's so much.
There's so much we don't know.
We don't know.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
It really is.
So let's take a little break.
Okay.
And we'll come back and explore some more.
Awesome. Okay, so we've been talking about this fall of Saturn.
Right.
This cosmic upheaval that changed everything.
Yeah, and when you look at the myths...
Yep. There's all this imagery of cosmic battles.
Right, wars in heaven.
Wars in heaven, gods clashing, titans being overthrown.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, what was going on?
Right, and it makes you wonder if these myths are symbolic of some kind of...
Like real event.
Real conflict.
Yeah.
Maybe between Saturn and another celestial body.
Right, or even some force that we can't even comprehend.
That we don't even have a name for yet.
Yeah.
It's possible that our current scientific models just aren't equiped to grasp
what might have happened.
What might have transpired in the distant past.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to understand quantum physics with with primitive tools.
Yes. So we have to keep an open mind.
Absolutely.
And consider all the possibilities. So this fall, this event.
Yeah.
It might be the key to understanding.
It could be.
Not just like the planets and
solar system, but
also
consciousness itself.
Consciousness, exactly. Because remember that idea of the golden age?
Right.
Before Saturn's fall?
This time of peace and abundance.
Yes. This time when humanity was more connected to the divine, to a realm of pure consciousness.
Right. And then the fall is like...
It's like a descent.
A descent into this denser material reality.
Yes, where we experience separation, limitation.
Miles, like we went from unity to duality.
Exactly, from wholeness to fragmentation.
Oh, and maybe that journey, that fall, was actually necessary.
Interesting.
For us to evolve.
Right, to develop our individuality.
To have free will.
To make choices.
Yeah.
To experience the full spectrum.
Yeah.
Of this reality.
Yeah, because without contrast.
Right.
Without duality.
How can we truly appreciate
Yeah.
the good, the light?
Yeah.
Without knowing the darkness.
You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. And so Saturn,
with its symbolism of limitations, boundaries, it kind of becomes this guide on this journey.
So Saturn's not just this negative force.
It's not just about restriction.
It's also a teacher.
It's a teacher.
Yeah.
It's helping us to grow.
It's like those tough lessons.
Exactly.
That make us stronger.
Those challenges that force us to confront our limitations.
Yeah. And ultimately
to transcend them.
To transcend them.
So we can actually use Saturn's energy.
Absolutely.
To evolve.
To become more than what we are.
Yeah.
And this is where that alchemical idea of transmuting lead into gold becomes so relevant.
Because
Saturn, associated with lead, represents our base nature. Our primal instinct.
Our connection to the material world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But through a process of inner work, of transformation.
Of confronting our shadow selves.
Yes. We can refine that lead, turn it into gold.
That's like...
achieve a state of spiritual illumination. It's like the hero's journey. It is. It's the hero's journey.
Right.
We face our challenges.
Yeah.
We overcome obstacles.
And we emerge transformed.
We emerge transformed.
Wow, that's a powerful message.
It is. And I think it's a message that's embedded in all these ancient myths and traditions.
It's like they're trying to tell us.
They're trying to guide us on this journey.
So it's not just about like intellectual ideas.
Right.
It's about practical application.
Exactly. It's about how we live our lives.
Okay, so how do we actually apply this?
Well, it starts with awareness.
Okay.
Recognizing the influence of Saturn in our lives.
Okay.
Both the challenges and the opportunities.
Right, because Saturn teaches us about
boundaries, responsibility, discipline, structure.
Yeah, it's like those tough love lessons.
It is. It's tough love.
Yeah.
But it's ultimately for our benefit.
So instead of seeing Saturn as this like mean, scary planet,
we can view it as a teacher.
Yeah, a guide.
A guide.
Okay.
Helping us to develop our inner strength.
Our resilience.
Our self-mastery.
So even in the midst of darkness, restriction, there's potential.
Always potential for growth, for transformation.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I think that's the beauty of exploring these esoteric ideas.
Yeah.
Delving into the myths, the symbolism.
Yeah.
The ancient wisdom.
It opens up new perspectives.
It challenges our assumptions.
Like a whole new way.
A whole new way of seeing.
Of seeing the world.
Yeah. And I think that's what we've tried to do.
Yeah. This deep dive.
And this deep dive.
Into Saturn.
Into the mysteries of Saturn.
Has been truly
mind expanding.
Mind expanding, yeah.
And I hope that it's inspired you.
Yeah, our listeners.
Or continue exploring.
And continue questioning.
Keep asking those big questions.
Because that's how we grow.
That's how we evolve.
That's how we discover who we truly are.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on this journey with us.
On this deep dive into Saturn.
And remember, the journey of discovery never ends.
Keep exploring. Keep questioning. Keep your mind open.
And most importantly,
Never stop seeking the truth.
The truth that resonates deep within your soul.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Thanks again.
Thanks.